All right, thank you. As you come to your seats, please feel free to have a seat. And let the record reflect that all the jurors have been seated. We'll now move into the preliminary instructions. Before I do that, there was a juror who didn't make it out for the first swearing, and I just wanted to ask you the question that I asked everyone else. Have you done any research? Have you talked to anyone about the case? Have you watched any news media? Okay, so you've been able to follow the court's instructions to not discuss this case with anyone, nor do research. All right, thank you very much. All right, and your number? 7. Okay, and that is juror number 7. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, moving on, I'm going to get back to the pens and notepads that you have for your use during the trial. You may make notes, but you're not required to do so. If you decide to take notes, please remember that note-taking should not divert you from paying full attention to the evidence and to evaluating witness credibility. Your observations of the witness during their testimony can be vital to your determination to believability of their testimony. The notes that you take are for your use only and are not to be shared with anyone until you begin deliberation with your fellow jurors. During deliberation, you should rely on your own recollection of the proceedings, but you may consult the notes of other jurors if you wish. Do not be influenced by the notes of others unless their notes help you in determining your own independent recollection. Notes are not entitled to any greater weight than the recollection or impression of each juror as to what evidence that may have been presented. After the trial is over, the notes will be destroyed and they will be collected and destroyed. And at this time, please write your name on the front sheet of paper in the pad and make no further notes on the front sheet. That way, no other person can see your notes if your pad should be seen by another person. The law requires that you decide this case solely on evidence presented in this courtroom. This means that during the trial, you must not conduct any independent research about this case, the matters in the case, or any individuals in the case. In other words, you should search the internet, websites or blogs, or use any other electronic tools to obtain information about this case or to help you decide the case. Please do not try to find out information from any source outside of the confines of the courtroom, to include media of any sort or online research. The bailiffs have been instructed to collect your cell phones, tablets, and laptops during the proceedings. You may want to leave those in your vehicle. If they collect them, they'll be sure to give them back to you at the end of the day and on breaks as well. Until you retire to deliberate, you may not discuss this case with anyone, even your fellow jurors. After you retire to deliberate, you may begin discussing the case with your fellow jurors, but you cannot discuss the case with anyone else until you have returned a verdict and the case is at an end. I hope that for all of you, this case is interesting and noteworthy. I know that many of you use tools or technology in your daily life, but you may not do so in connection with your service as a juror. You also must not talk to anyone about this case or use electronic tools to communicate with anyone about the case. This includes your family members and friends. You may not communicate with anyone about the case or your jury service via internet, text messaging, email, Twitter, Instagram, a Snapchat, and on and on and on. You cannot use any social networking websites to communicate anything about this case. I cannot stress strongly enough that communication via electronic devices is prohibited.